Do I need to use my gavel? Good evening. We will call the Planning Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Armstead, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Ms. Miamber, can I please have roll call?
Yes. Chair Sherrick,
Present.
Vice Chair Quill.
Here.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia,
Here.
Commissioner Flores,
Here.
Commissioner Armstead, Commissioner Kraskos, Commissioner Orlando Garcia,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez is not here yet, and Commissioner Daly is excused.
Thank you. A three-minute limitation shall apply to each member of the public who wishes to address the Planning Commission on any item on the agenda, excluding public hearings. There is not a limit to the number of items that may be discussed within the 3-minute time limit. Ms. Miamber, can you administer the oath to our public speakers?
Is there anyone here who filled out a speaker slip to speak during public comment or on any of the items that are on the agenda? If you could, please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say you do.
So I noticed I had more speaker slips than just the one gentleman. Is that a,
I know 2 of them were in case we needed
Correct.
questions.
and then I had 2 for item number 6.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you. Is there anyone other than whom we've sworn in that would like to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda? Okay, I don't have any speaker slips for any items not on the agenda, so we'll move to our consent calendar. Consent items are routine in nature and may be enacted in one motion. All public and non-public hearings will open one at a time, and any item may be discussed separately upon request of a member of the Planning Commission or a member of the public. Does staff have any updates to the consent calendar?
Madam Chair, no, we don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak on a consent calendar? If not, may I entertain a motion to approve a consent calendar?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
Can we use our mic?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Chair Sherrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quill,
Yes.
Ivan Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead,
Yes.
Commissioner Kraskos, Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. And if I could just remind commissioners to use our microphones for the record and people at home to be able to hear us. Thank you. The Planning Commission will hear, we're moving into our public hearing items, and the Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff, and then the next public hearing will be open, so we'll take them in sequence order. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak, and members of the public will be allowed to speak. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak must be sworn in and fill out a request to speak form. The forms are located on the table over here by the door. When your name is called, come forward and speak your name into the microphone. Say and spell your name for the taped record. And after all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed, and the Planning Commission will begin making deliberations and a decision. All decisions except general plan amendments and municipal code amendments are final actions unless an appeal is filed, and fees are paid within 15 days to the Community and Housing Department. If you challenge the resulting action of the Planning Commission in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda or in written correspondence delivered to the Community Development and Housing Department or at the public hearing. Our first item is conditional use permit 23-15. And I'd like, we have a staff presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners, and to the people who are in attendance on tonight's Planning Commission meeting. My name is Christian James Calasan, and I'm one of the new assistant planners for the City of San Bernardino. Before we begin, I'd like to, this project was formerly from Elizabeth Moore Rodriguez, who no longer works for the City of San Bernardino, so I'm here presenting on behalf of her. Item number 2 is conditional use permit 23-15 to allow the development, establishment, and operation of a drive-through facility for a new Starbucks located at 1208 West Highland Avenue. The parcel site that is on, it's APN 0148-211-40. This project site is approximately 0.59 acres within the commercial general CG1 zone. This is the existing site of the aerial view of the site. As you can see, the site has been developed from the previous use, which was auto dealership. With that being said, this site is so close to the state highway. It's a prime location for the business. It's right next to the commercial general zones or shopping center down south, and it's also abutting residential suburban homes up north. This site has been vacant for almost 2 years now, and the applicant wishes to demolish the existing development, the existing building into that, and develop this drive-through Starbucks. I visited the site yesterday and noticed that there's been overgrown weeds throughout the site. There's actually some sort of minor fire that's on the structure. So this development will definitely revitalize that site. This is the project zoning map, and as you can see, it's located within the commercial general CG1 zone. As noted, it is abutting residential suburban up north and a state highway down to the west side of it, and approximately residential suburban and CG1 zone from the east and southern side of the border. This zone is intended to allow the development of retail uses along the transportation corridors and intersections to service the needs of the residents. This project is approximately 1,263 square feet, and as noted, this is a standalone drive-through facility for Starbucks. The drive-through will has a total of 17 vehicular stacking, which exceeds the number of minimum of 6 behind the menu board. And unfortunately, this one will just be a drive-through, and there won't be any indoor seating, outdoor seating, or no takeout windows. The business will operate from Monday through Sunday, and it will operate for 24/7, and it will have 4 to 6 employees per shift with up to 3 shifts per day. There's an existing site access driveway that will be modified in response to this new development, and the project will provide 9 spaces with 1 ADA parking space. This is the current site facing the southeast corner of West Highland Avenue, and as you can see, it's been vacant. It's a lot worse now, as I visited yesterday. And this is the proposed site plan, and as you can see, it's modifying the driveway a little bit just to fit the drive-through lanes. The refuse enclosure is located up to the driveway where you see the turn radius from the truck. It is located in an entrance just so it will provide minimal traffic for the drive-through lane and easier access and pickup. As mentioned again, they will provide 17 vehicular stacking on the drive-through lane, and it will be they're locating a menu board down south to provide minimal noise for the surrounding area. The site will also utilize and maintain the existing 6-foot block wall that separates the development to the residential homes up north, and this project does meet the city's commercial zone and drive-through restaurant standards. The design of the project leans towards more of a modern look, as they wanted to provide a design that will be visually appealing compared to some Starbucks and have that design for years to come. They will be providing an integrated variation of finished panel materials, flat roof design, and fixed awnings. Since it's a standalone business, they want to make sure that it will pop up even more, and to improve the site. Since again, it is going to be next to the major corridor. Here's the landscape plan. As you can see, they will provide a lush and mature trees to revitalize the site and provide additional buffer from the state highway, residential homes, and the main corridor, which is West Highland Avenue. Since the project has an irregular shape and it prevents from utilizing the whole site, they tend to lean towards more landscaping to revitalize it, as noted. With that being said, staff recommends the Planning Commission to adopt resolution number 2024-026, finding the project categorically exempt pursuant to section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures, and section 15332, infill development project in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and approving conditional use permit 23-15 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. I would also like to note that the applicant and their team are here to answer any questions in regards to the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. I'd like to now open the public hearing. I don't have any speaker slips for this item. Is there anybody in the public who would like to speak on this item? Okay.
My name is Andrew. I'm the project manager for the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but no, I don't have anything. Our planner has spoken well enough for us already, so.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for staff discussion and vote. Do we have any discussion by staff?
Through the chair, yes.
Absolutely.
I have a question for staff. In this plot plan or footprint here, I'm concerned with Davidson, and the traffic up and down Davidson is quite a narrow street. When the cars exit Starbucks here, are they going to have a right turn only sign, or will they be able to exit up through the neighborhoods?
They will be able to turn to the neighborhood as well. We did talk to traffic engineer, and based on the number of business that we will attract, they didn't see a fit for a contingency plan in regards to the drive-through aisle. So they didn't see that they will be attracting enough business in regards to that.
So the answer is they will not have.
They will be able to turn into the residential and make a right turn on both the driveway.
Okay, right or left turn?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Exiting, I see. Okay.
Commissioner.
I had some questions for the applicant. I just wanted to know, do you know how many Starbucks we currently have in our city? Because I think my count, I had about 4, or you might know the actual count.
If you could please come to the mic. Thank you.
And while he's coming up, Chair Sherrick, could you reopen the public hearing, please?
At this time, I'll go ahead and reopen the public hearing to allow comments from the applicants.
No, I'm not aware of how many Starbucks you have in the city of San Bernardino. You said there's 4?
I believe there's approximately 4 right now that are
Okay.
existing. But
Yeah, it sounds like you need more.
Yeah.
I think there's another Starbucks here after me too, so yeah, let's get them going.
And then just another question for the underground tanks that you guys are installing. I'm sure your designer already looked at existing conditions where you're placing those. I don't know if it's ideal, if there's any utilities there. Just wanted to ask the question.
So far, as far as our civil drawings go, we've tried to submit to a few different departments to get that going, but we've been denied. So last time we spoke with Public Works Land Development, Susan Pan, she advised that they're not going to view any of our stuff until after Planning Commission. So we already have our civils lined up to work on the project. We're just waiting for tonight's approval before we continue with our additional plan set submissions.
And then my last question, it's mainly for city staff or yourself regarding Tree City USA. Are you guys familiar with the nonprofit? And is there a checklist on their website, or is there a checklist from the city that's given to the applicants or designers that that shows, you know, they're trying to meet if Tree City has any requirements or, I guess checklists, guidelines, when you go into design, anything that you guys take into account.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Garcia, the city has a landscape palette that the developers can actually select from, and I think that palette has been developed in recognition of the fact that San Bernardino has that moniker of Tree City USA. So.
Yeah, just so the experience that I have with every city that we go into, every city has their own, like I said, book of what you can and can't put in the cities. So basically, we'll go ahead and submit landscaping plans, and then the city will be the one to review them based off of the city standards. So we just, whatever you guys prefer and you guys want, write it up, and we'll be happy to try and accommodate.
Thank you. That's all that I had.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Flores?
Thank you. I don't know if this is for staff or the applicants. I'm a little concerned that there isn't any option for folks who rely on transit, walk, to make use of this business, to support your business. What was the justification for only allowing people with cars to be able to enjoy this business?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Flores, I can probably address that, and if the applicant wants to add to that. I think the reason why we're seeing a lot of drive-through facilities in our communities because of the existing situation with the homeless population and some of the danger associated and risk associated with them actually entering businesses. For example, the one here on 2nd Street, or is it 2nd or 3rd Street, used to have a, you used to be able to walk into the building and make orders. They are now not allowing entrance into their building, but I think you can actually do maybe like a window order or something like that. So yeah, it's basically a safety measure on their part, just to keep and this is going to be a 24-hour operation anyway, so they're making sure that they keep just a drive-through facility and no entries into the building.
Was there any consideration for a walk-up window?
In certain instances, yes, Commissioner, that would be consideration. If the Planning Commission, by a unanimous, by a majority vote, would like to consider a walk-up window as part of this facility, it's something that we can negotiate with the developers to see if that works for them as well.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I would definitely be supportive of a walk-up window for issues of accessibility and enjoyment for folks who live right next door, who wouldn't need to have to drive
to
enjoy the
those
business.
who don't have cars
Yeah.
as well, yes. Okay, I mean, if that's something the chair would like to entertain, by some kind of a vote amongst commissioners, if you want to see that as a potential condition, we can definitely entertain that.
Is that something that this commission would like to see, the majority of the commission would like to see, is a walk-up window on this project? Like a straw, maybe a hand pull of.
I agree with Commissioner Flores. I think that's a good idea. If somebody's in a neighborhood that wants to purchase a coffee and they want to walk down to Starbucks and get one, if they're not in a vehicle, I don't think they'll be able to buy a coffee. So I think it's a good request.
I agree with Commissioner.
Yeah, I would agree with that
Okay.
also.
I think we have a majority consensus on that. Is that something the applicant is willing to entertain?
Yeah, I'll be happy to take it back to the Starbucks team and let them know.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions by the commission?
I do, through the chair.
Commissioner Garcia.
Good evening, everybody. I have a few questions. First, I'd like to say it's a great idea to develop that corner. I live a little bit more north, but I do frequent the area, Muscoviabi and Home Depot. It's my Home Depot. A lot of people try to stay away from the area. I try to bring any business I can to that area, and it's actually a perfect spot for a Starbucks, in my opinion. I agree with the other commissioner. A walk-up window would be awesome. I'm not sure how much foot traffic we'll get right there, but you're on a property line with the residents there, so it'll be a great option. I would know if I lived on Davidson, I would love to walk and grab a coffee. So I think that's a great idea. Looking at the approach there, I looked on the plans there. I think you have a 20-foot or 26-foot driveway. Does anybody know? Do you know the existing width of that driveway now? And second question, is that going to be relocated, or 'cause it seems pretty close to where it's? Yeah, that one. It seems pretty close to where it currently is.
Microphone. Thank you.
Hi, okay. So I believe it will be staying the same as how it is as of right now. The only thing that will be modified a little bit is to enforce the trash enclosure, but in regards to the driveway width, it will be staying the same.
Okay, and one more question. Do we know how many cars will be able to be in the drive-through prior to the exit, meaning where the approach through the drive-through?
So there's gonna be a total of 17 vehicular stacking.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
So yes, it will be a total of 17 vehicular stacking on the drive-through lane.
Okay,
And it's gonna be 7 behind the menu board.
17 and 7. Then last question, this is probably for staff. Do we know if the ratio for ADA parking versus open public parking is in line? I think it was 1 ADA and 9 open or something.
The typical standard, Commissioner Garcia, Madam Chair, the usual standard for handicap parking is 1 for every 25 parking spaces.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If we have no further questions or by the commission, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Sorry.
Chair Sherrick, I heard the applicant say that he would take the idea for the walk-up window back to his team.
Yes.
My recommendation is not for the planning commission to approve the project and add a condition that the applicant cannot commit to yet.
Understood.
And so that's why the director's over there talking with him. If he can so represent that they can do that, and they would agree to that condition and hold to it, by all means, proceed. If he cannot and he needs time to confer with his team, my recommendation is for the commission to continue to the next meeting to give him time to confer with his team.
Can I just ask for clarification? Will you need the additional time to? Yes, please. And you make, okay. Thank you. So,
Sorry, Commissioner, I had one more comment regarding the design. I noticed the trash enclosure is right near the entrance. Is there another location that can be relocated? I know you guys are in the design, because it looks like, when trash is being
pardon me,
swapped
Commissioner,
out.
I'm just going to go ahead and reopen
Okay,
the
sorry.
public hearing portion so that we can go ahead and address this issue. Thank you. So we're going to reopen the public hearing so you can address.
Yeah, so we did have the trash enclosure at a different location. Talking to this, so it was more in the middle of the queue area, and based off of where the Starbucks team would have to take those trash cans, the half bins, they would have to carry them from that side all the way out to the street. So we were able to get with Burtec and redesign the area of the trash enclosure so that it's more of a light staging area. So the trash will be in that area, and then Burtec will be sending by, I don't know, scout truck that'll come by and be able to pull the bins out, and then their truck does have the proper amount of radius to get in and out and remove those bins. So following up on the last question with the entryway, yeah, we've already gone with traffic and through Burtec and ran all these numbers by them, and this is the solution that we came up with to best serve this area.
Through the chair, I have a question. I have a question. Okay, so I understand that this is a 24-hour-a-day operation, 7 days a week. However, you're going to be blocking the driveway for Burtec to come in and pull out the containers and then bring another truck in to empty them. So I would imagine that driveway would be blocked for probably 15, 20 minutes?
No, the staging area, where it's located, they're able to roll those bins out to the street area. So the trash truck, one, if needed, can go into the driveway to get the trucks. And then the other option for them is to just pick them up on the street where they're moved from the staging area to the street. So I apologize. I'm not with Burtec. I don't work with the trash company, so I don't know exactly how they run their operation. If you would like, we can confirm what their pickup times are, just to see if that's gonna help. I don't know if if that makes a difference for it, but I think that the way we designed the entrance and the turning radius was to not block any traffic from entering and exiting.
Well, since we are more than likely bringing this back for another question here, we might want to talk to Burtech if they're, I don't know if their plan is to take the trash containers out to the street and leave them there until the pickup comes.
Okay.
I would be concerned with that because, again, too, Davidson is not a really wide street.
Okay.
And to have the trash containers out there, I think it would be an inconvenience for the neighborhood.
Okay.
And I just want to note it down that the placement of the trash enclosure is located to the entrance just to make it easier for Burtech to pick up the trash. If let's just say it's located within where it was at in the middle, it will be blocking the parking, the drive-through, and it will just make it a lot more difficult. In regards to the hours, I'm not too entirely sure what the hours for pickup for Burtech is, but with the 17 vehicular stacking and the driveway approach, and knowing the fact that it's only going to be a drive-through window, a drive-through of Starbucks, there shouldn't be any cause of traffic for the driveway, especially if the pickup will be a lot easier for Burtech to come in, come out. So that's the idea, the purpose of putting that in that placement.
Well, it's right in the driveway.
The location's right here.
If we cannot holler from the audience, please. Thank you. Did you?
This is the location of the trash. This is the location of the trash enclosure, and this is the driveway entryway right here.
And so the roll-off would be pulled onto the street?
From my understanding, it can be either be rolled up to the streets or picked up by the Burtech going inside. So I'm not too entirely sure about the staging area for Burtech.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to comment,
Garcia.
one more thing is, if you guys can maybe reconsider a better location for the trash enclosure, if it's gonna come back, for next month's meeting, and I'm
No,
for
we
the
will not be,
project.
I don't think they're gonna be changing the location of that trash enclosure because we've already ran that decision by Burtech and by the different, with our planner and all that, so that really is the best decision, but, if you, do you have an idea, but just based off of that map, I mean,
I would recommend that it would be placed on the west side where you have that little curve, the radius.
This one right here?
Yeah, in that
yeah,
area.
that was the previous location, but the issue with the Burtech trucks is they can't get in and reverse out with the radius that we had. So that was why Burtech was the one who asked us to redesign where the location of it was to make it easier for their pickup.
I have a question. Why don't you locate it in this island here, deeper into the property, so they have a straight shot into that island, and they can back out from there?
Is it this island, or where would it be?
Yes, right in that area.
Yes, that is what Commissioner Garcia just mentioned as well, and that was our original location for the trash enclosure. Again, the issue was with the big trucks, their turning radius, it's not wide enough in there. So their big trucks would not be able to go in, reverse out, and get there and go back out.
And then one more item or thing. What about the island that's just north of the new building? 'Cause
Where you're referring
So
to?
basically where the little arrow is, over to the building, the Starbucks building, right there, that area. Would that be an option? I'm just saying, like, I'm envisioning, if I'm a vehicle pulling into the driveway and the trash enclosures over there, and they could be off to a side, just,
I don't think Starbucks
more-
would want trash enclosures directly in front of their building. I mean, that is right where we have our parking spaces right there, so I don't think they would want that in that location.
thank you, I appreciate that.
Do we have any further? Commissioner Orlando
I
Garcia.
just got a quick comment. I mean, looking at the site plan, I have a lot of experience with new construction. I personally think that's the best spot for it, respectfully. We're also requesting a pedestrian walk-up. keep in mind that pedestrian traffic is going to be going right to the building, so moving that location, in my opinion, probably wouldn't be feasible. Keep in mind, I mean, a trash pickup is a very, very quick operation. I think they're going to have a lot more distractions in that corner than a trash truck coming picking up that trash. That site, if you're really familiar with Davidson and Highland, the street is narrow, not too narrow, but you got the laundromat corner. There's going to be plenty of room. I think it's going to be a beautiful facility once it's built, and the trash will be in and out of there in no time, and we'll all be pulling in there and grabbing us coffee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments by commissioners? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and ask for a motion. And this would be a motion to continue.
Yes, and the next meeting is scheduled for September the 10th. And so whoever would like to make a motion, if you could include that the item be continued to that date, September the 10th.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to continue conditional use permit 215 to our next scheduled planning commission meeting in September.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Chair Sherrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quill,
Yes.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead, Commissioner Crosskos, Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you.
So, the project, so unless we change it to add the walk-up window, the commission will not be, you'll continue to push the project, is basically what we're saying right now?
I believe that's a vote for when it comes back to the commission.
Got it.
Thank you. Moving on to conditional, item number 3, conditional use permit 24-01. Presentation by staff.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, commissioners, members of the public. My name is George Velarde, and I'm one of your new planners as well. So tonight I'll be presenting conditional use permit number 24-01. Oh, if I can get to the right slides, my apologies. Okay. So conditional use permit number 24-01 is a request to allow the development, establishment, and operation of an approximate 5,040 square foot public place of assembly. In this specific case, it's a religious facility, along with other associated improvements on 3 parcels. This project is located at 1018 South Lincoln Avenue, which we will discuss in greater detail with the slides ahead of us, and it sits on a project site of approximately 1.22 acres and some change. The zone for this project is industrial light, and similarly, we'll discuss that in greater detail with some of the slides ahead of us. All right, so here's an aerial of the site. As mentioned before, the project is located at 1018 South Lincoln Avenue. This is going to be sort of mid-block with East Central Avenue over there to the north. And then just south, we have East Ennis Street, and then just south of that, it's going to be East Orange Show Road. Within this vicinity, you can tell off the map, there's a variety of, well, actually, primarily industrial uses. Directly to the west, we have the railroad, which services our Metrolink, and then just further west, we have an industrial building. Across the street on South Lincoln to the east, we have another industrial building, and directly north and south of our subject site is non-conforming residential uses. This project does include off-site improvements along their property frontage, and currently our site is developed with an existing non-conforming single-family use. All right, as previously mentioned, the zone of our subject site is industrial light, along with the surrounding properties in the area. They're also industrial light. It's important to note here that both the zone and general plan land use designations are consistent with one another. The general plan is industrial, and so is our zone. All right, so the conditional use permit establishes the land use. Some of the characteristics along with this specific application are the hours of operation. So as noted in your staff report and their project justification letter, this is Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And this involves at least 2 caretakers or employees on the site. Again, with the CUP, not only are we looking at the land use, but we're also looking at some of the architecture, site review, which we'll again take a look at with the slides ahead of us. Here's the existing site looking west from South Lincoln Avenue. Again, the existing dwelling unit, or what's currently there is an existing dwelling unit. With the purposes of this project and moving forward, the house would be demolished to eventually make way for the place of assembly. Okay, so here's our site plan. There's going to be one main building oriented towards the rear of the site. The project will be accessible from South Lincoln Avenue via 2 driveways. Per the circulation and all that, the South Lincoln Avenue is identified as a local street. This project does include 58 vehicular parking spaces. That's quantified based off of the area of congregation or area of worship in this case, which equates to minimum 56 parking spaces. They have 58, so it meets the minimum. And then lastly, they also included a play area for children, decorative fountains, and canopies. Here's their floor plan. Again, the main building is predominantly the area of congregation, or again, in this case, area of worship. This is comprised of approximately 1,945 square feet of worship area. Here are their elevations. The applicant is proposing modern style architecture, with the main building have more of a modern monochromatic color scheme with primarily hues of white. There are variations to the building face, designs, patterns, building scoring, providing for an aesthetically pleasing facade. Additionally, they did include ample windows, glazing, decorative uplighting, as well as cornices. Here's their landscape plan. This includes a combination of ground cover, 5-gallon shrubs, 24-inch box trees, and plants do take some time to mature, but the idea is that you have some greenery to break up the hardscape throughout. And then here are the renderings. These offer a different perspective of the building and the overall project site. And overall, this helps illustrate, kind of paints a picture a little bit better of what we're looking at and ultimately what we envision the project to look like. And really brings those 2D images that we saw just a few slides back to life. That being said, staff's recommendation is for the Planning Commission to adopt resolution number 2024-27 and find that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15332, otherwise known as infill development. Find that the CUP conditional use permit number 2401, or approve conditional use permit 24-01 based on the findings in fact, and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. A few things I wanted to add also: we did properly notice this item in preparation for tonight's hearing, and at the time I'm saying this, we didn't receive public comment. And we did have one correction to the conditions of approval. This is going to be on it's item number 44. This speaks primarily to the dedication that's required per Public Works. The correction is, the info's there, but we referenced the incorrect street, so apologize for that. It's South Lincoln Avenue and not Highland Avenue, which referenced a different project. So my apologies on that. That being said, though, myself, the applicant, and staff are available for questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We will now open up the public hearing. I have no speaker slips on this item. Does the commission have any questions? Hearing no questions, I would like to go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and motion to approve this project, item 24-01.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Chair Sherrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quill. Yes. Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead,
Yes.
Commissioner Croscos. Yes. Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. I would like to, we're now going to have a staff presentation on item number 4, conditional use permit 24-03.
Hello again. Good to be back. All right, so thank you again, Madam Chair, commissioners, and members of our public. I will be presenting conditional use permit 24-03. Conditional use permit number 24-03 is a request to allow the establishment and operation of the County of San Bernardino Child and Family Services. The project is located on 3 parcels at 2145, 2165, and 2185 East Highland Avenue. On a project site of approximately 3.55 acres and some change. This project and the properties on the Commercial General 1 zone, and similarly with the last presentation, we'll take a look at that in greater detail with the slides ahead of us. All right, so here's an aerial view of the site. The project's going to be located at the southwest corner of East Highland Avenue and Guthrie Street. Within the vicinity, there are primarily commercial and residential uses. To the west, directly to the west, we have the Sterling Plaza, and then directly north is more inline shopping, that sort of thing. Directly south and east of the subject site are the Mill Creek apartments, or multifamily. Some background: constructed in 1984, formerly known as the Highland Village Commercial Center. By and large, this site is already developed. Moving forward with the conditional use permit application, there was a nexus for staff to work with the applicant to ultimately bring upgrades to the site and overall work with them to bring this site, into the 21st century to try our best to meet current code. So we'll look at the architecture, we'll look at some of the improvements that they have worked along with staff in the slides ahead of us. Here is the zone of our subject site. As mentioned before, it's in the Commercial General 1 zone with the same zones to the west and the north, and then the residential component, or zones rather, to the south and directly to the east. And similarly, when you look at the general planned land use designation, the zones and the general plan are consistent of one another. They match, which is good. All right, so the conditional use permit establishes the land use, as we've discussed. The characteristics specifically for this project before you is that the hours of operation, or the hours of operation, are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, with approximately 145 County of San Bernardino staff at the site. And as noted in your staff report, these folks ultimately provide resources and educational services for families and children seeking assistance related to the unfortunate circumstance that children are dealing with neglect, abuse, exploitation, etc. They're there to find the resources and kind of ultimately get them back on their feet. And lastly, this facility does include on-site security. And that is, I'm looking at the PowerPoint right now. It says 181. That is a typo. It's actually 170. We'll look at the parking calculation in a second, but I did just notice that right now. Here's the existing site looking south from Highland Avenue. After checking with our business registration team, the last business license that was issued to this site was back in 2019. So essentially this has sat vacant for almost 5 years now. So we went out there yesterday to do some inspections, but you can see the plants are growing through. You know, it needs some maintenance in the future, but that's just it being untouched for so long there. All right, so here's a site plan. There are 5 main buildings and 3 driveways. One from East Highland Avenue, which is based off circulation, a major arterial, and 2 from Guthrie Street. This project meets the minimum parking requirements. When we calculate for general office use, that gives us a minimum of 111. So with 170, that, you know, they've met that criteria. And then with that, they're showing new play equipment, a tot lot south of Building A, which is this one here closest to Highland. And then over here on the westerly side, eastern side, they have a recreation area as well. Okay, so there's several buildings as we saw, and we're gonna flip through these next slides, and let me kind of explain that. So right here on the right-hand side, you have the building of what floor plan we're looking at, the respective floor plan. So I'm gonna cycle through these. You can see what I'm talking about in a second. The shaded portion will be the building and then the respective floor plan. And so without getting into great detail on it, generally speaking, it's for primarily office use only. So you have things like, well, office space, storage space, restrooms, things of that nature. Okay, so here are the elevations. If you recall on the existing view, the building itself had a red base and sort of a dark brown facade. It was kind of fading. The applicant, after working with them, they've provided lighter color hues. As you can see, they added a decorative base around the entire building, all of them. They added a decorative backer board for future signage. They painted the cornices, and they have decorative lighting throughout. So this is the main facade. Here's the rear of it. And then this is going to be the building closest to Highland Avenue, otherwise known as Building A. Here are their landscape plans, in addition to maintaining the existing landscaping out there, which, by the way, they have big, beautiful, mature trees. In addition to that, along Highland Avenue, they're really going to beef it up a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of it, by adding additional landscaping features. I can go into detail about the ground cover, the trees, the shrubs. So in addition to the building facade, they are planting more in addition to what's out there. So that, again, will break up the hardscape, and in combination with the existing landscape should be a nice touch. So to help illustrate the elevations and, again, bring life to an otherwise 2D plan, here are some renderings to help you visualize what we envision could be there. So here's that main facade, and I'll cycle through these just so you guys can get a better idea. That being said, staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution number 2024-28 and find that the project is categorically exempt pursuant to section 15301, existing facilities, because they're not adding any square footage or anything like that. It's simply just moving into an existing building, and approve conditional use permit 24-03 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. So myself as well as city staff. The applicant and representatives of the County of San Bernardino are here if you guys have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, George. I'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing. I have no speaker slips on this item. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to say something or have questions?
Yes, through the chair, I have a question.
Vice Chair Quill.
Is there going to be, what are the hours of operation?
8 to 5.
The hours of operation are going to be Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, so there will be no residents there.
And we'll clarify on that. The availability is there could be some type of overnight component. And let me explain that. And I do have the county here to help justify and explain that as well. But their ultimate goal is it's child and family services. So in the unlikely or unfortunate event, however we want to label it, there are emergency issues that somebody's going to pick up a phone call at 2 a.m. because somebody's being neglected or hurt. So the availability of somebody at the county is there. Normal operating hours of the office itself, public hours, that sort of thing, is Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
Okay, security-wise, if you visited the site, you notice there's homeless there at the site, plus over in the field and across the street. Pretty busy place for homeless people. So security-wise, if there are going to be people there, I would sure appreciate them ramping up any security you might have.
Yes, and that's a good question. The county is providing 24/7 security on site for things of that nature. So absolutely.
Commissioner Flores?
Yeah, I think it's a great project, and I appreciate the addition of the playground facility. Curious if that's open to the public during operating hours, or is that just for folks who are being serviced by the facility?
Latter.
Okay. Then my second question, was there any consideration for electric vehicle ready parking spots, given how many there are, and it's a public facility now?
Yes, that's part of the building code that they have to be EV ready to accommodate. Similar to ADA in that respect, that there's X number of parking spaces designated for both accessibility and EV. So absolutely, when it's comes time for plan check with building and safety, that's something we'll be checking, both planning and building and safety.
Got it. Thank you.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia?
I have a couple of comments. Really enjoyed the photometrics on page 201 and 202 of the packet. I had personally never seen a 3D or isometric for photometrics, so that was pretty cool. The other question that I have is, where is the current CFS building located, or are there already, or is there another office in our city?
And for that, I'd like to turn it over to the County of San Bernardino.
Good evening. My name is Terry Thompson. I'm the Director of Real Estate Services for San Bernardino County. First, appreciate all of you and your interest in the project. To answer the question, there are 3 other CFS uses in the city, including the administrative headquarters, if you will, of CFS. This particular program is a welcoming center program for community need. It's a new program that the county is very excited about. I'm basically here on behalf of county leadership and CFS in support of the project and any questions that you have at the county. Also, the director of CFS, Gina Cepeda, is here as well if there's any questions about the program itself.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Do we have any other questions by commissioners? Commissioner Orlando Garcia?
Good evening again, everybody. My wife has a background in social work, so I know the need in the county for this type of facility. I know there's one off of Gifford for sure. I hope this doesn't replace anything. I hope it's just an addition to the high need in the county to support the area. I think it's the community needs something like this. I just did have one question. I know that that property is gated. Is it gonna continue to be gated? And I do appreciate the 24-hour security for the individuals that will be going on there, because they're almost sure there's gonna be some overnight action where a child is in need of or removed out of a dangerous situation, and they're gonna need some type of placement or temporary placement. So I'd like to know if it's gated.
Yes, I can answer that. Thank you. Good comment. The project is going to be gated. If you notice now, there is an existing tubular steel fence along Highland and Guthrie. Along the south and west side, there's chain link. So in addition to the perimeter boundaries on Highland and Guthrie, they are removing the chain link and putting a solid wall as well. So yes.
Are there any other questions by the commission? At this time, I'd like to go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve item 24-03.
I'll second.
Call for the vote.
Chair Sherrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quill,
Yes.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead,
Yes.
Commissioner Croscos, Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. Our next item is conditional use permit 24-04. We'll have a presentation by staff.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian James again. For tonight, I will be presenting item number 5, conditional use permit 24-04. This will be a request to modify an existing conditional use permit 07-22 to allow a development, establishment, operation of a drive-through facility for a new Starbucks located at northwest corner of South Waterman Avenue and East Mill Street. The APN for this one is 0136-271-53. And this project site is approximately 0.50 acres within the commercial general CG1 zone. This is the existing aerial site, and as you can see, there's a vacant remnant pad within the existing shopping center. This was developed nearly 16 years ago to include a new development to go into that remnant pad. And it's been underutilized, and this project will occupy that vacant pad and modify the existing parking for the drive-through lanes. This is the project zoning map, and as you can see, it's within the commercial general CG1 zone. On the western side of the property, it is commercial heavy, and on the northern side, it is a public facility owned Levi, and also commercial heavy. And on the down south and to the eastern side is an accumulative commercial general and office industrial park zone. This zone is intended to allow the development of a retail commercial use along major transportation corridors and intersection to service the needs of the residents. This project is approximately 1,300 square feet, and as noted, this will be a drive-through facility with a takeout window. They will provide 16 vehicular stacking, and that's the required minimum of 6 behind the menu board. Our city traffic engineer also noted a contingency plan to be created since it will be sharing access for the existing shopping center. So with the contingency plan, they have noted a proposal to ensure that there will be traffic flow to incorporate nearly 53 vehicular stacking. And I can go through more detail on that in a moment. The operation of hours for this drive-through facility will be Monday to Sunday between 4:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. with 6 employees per shift. There's currently 3 driveways on South Waterman Avenue and 1 driveway on East Mill Street. And there will be a total of 19 parking stalls on site with 2 ADA component. The contingency plan will be to construct any type of overflow within the drive-through lanes. As noted, this one has 17 vehicular parking already for stacking. And the contingency plan, again, is to instruct for any type of blockage of the driveway, since it will be sharing the existing Goodwill. And this document will be recorded and saved for on-site staff and for our staff as well to ensure that it's been being worked on. This is the existing site facing the southeast corner of East Mill Street. Again, as you guys can see, is vacant as of right now. This is the proposed site plan, and it does meet the city's commercial zone and drive-through restaurant standards. They meet the required setback from the ultimate sidewalk curb, which is 25 feet and 1 inches, which we require at least 25 feet from the drive-through aisle. The location of the refuse enclosure is within the area that would not affect much of the traffic, as it is actually facing east, where it's going to be. So Bird-Tech does not have to go inside the parking, and they can go to either all of the 4 driveways and pick up the trash through there. This is the design floor plan, just to visualize that this will be just a drive-through and a pickup window. Those dotted lines on the outside of the property line is the proposed portico shear and an overhang to provide additional protection from the weather for the people and the people picking up from the cars. This is the design of the project. It is catering towards more of the modern look compared to some Starbucks. They will be, as noted, providing a portico shear and a overhang at the drive-through window to provide additional shade and protection. They will also include a mural, as you can see down the east elevation. It's not included right now, but that is the goal for the applicant's team to do, since signage is not part of this entitlement, that their goal is to incorporate a mural on that side and on the western side of the property. Here's the landscape plan. As you can see, they will be providing various trees on the site, providing additional buffer to adding in more grown trees that's lacking on the current site. There will be additional landscaping throughout the drive-through aisle that will complement the site, and this will be, right here is the rendering of what the design is to make it easier to visualize how it would look. With that being said, staff's recommendation for this is for the Planning Commission to adopt resolution number 2024-029, finding the project categorically exempt pursuant to section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and approving a conditional use permit 24-04 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. I would like to note out that this staff and the team are here to ask any specific question. With that being said, thank you.
Thank you, Christian. We'll now open up the public hearing. I have no speaker slips for this item. Does the commission have any questions or comments for staff or the applicant? Commissioner Ivan Garcia.
So I have a couple of comments and questions. I wanted to get confirmation from the applicant that the existing London plant trees are remaining off of Mill Street. That's what I'm reading on the plan. If you guys can just clarify that those are to remain.
Good evening. My name's Jim Bickle from Bickle Group Architects. I'm representing the project. Yes, those existing trees along the frontage are intended to stay.
Thank you for that. And then my next question, I know there's a monument sign along or adjacent to Mill Street, and you guys have the bioretention. I just wanted to, I'm looking for a little bit of clarification, because even on the structure, the posts that are gonna sit in the bioretention, I was wondering if you guys had looked at that, because it seems that the columns from the structure and also the monument sign are within the retention design layout.
We've had our civil engineer and our landscape architect work with us for the presentation, and I don't know specifically on this project, but I know in many projects in the past, in the bioretention area, it typically is a little bit oversized, and neither the landscape architect or the civil engineer has raised any concern about that at this point.
And then my last question, are you guys also the owner for the Starbucks in Kalamazoo? Because it seems like it's a similar design. There's a Starbucks in Kalamazoo? Okay. All right, that's all that I have. Thank you for answering my questions.
Commissioner Flores.
Thank you. I appreciate the inclusion of the walk-up window for folks in the community or workers in the area to not have to drive to grab coffee. I was wondering if you can give a little more clarification on the contingency plan for traffic. I've got some comments from residents and business owners in this area concerned about potential traffic. And yeah, just want to make sure that clarification is made.
Okay, so the contingency plan is to analyze whether there will be an influx of traffic that's going to be from the drive-through lanes. So as noted, this project will have 16 vehicular stacking, which is again above the minimum. So the contingency plan is because of the reciprocal parking from the shopping center. So that document will instruct the staff to where to direct the flow, direct the flow to traffic, inputting traffic cones to ensure that there's not going to be any influx or additional traffic that will be caused for the drive-through. The city engineer did state that it doesn't need one, but since it's shared with a shopping center, that they advise us to have one. So that's basically what it is. But if you look at the site plan, it does go all the way up to the site, which, let me see. Oh, unfortunately, I don't have the whole site plan, but it does go all the way up to the site plan. And on this contingency plan, we did prepare to visualize almost 53 vehicular stacking for any sort of traffic.
Got it. Appreciate y'all going above and beyond for that.
I have another question about the traffic. Will the traffic be turning in off of Mill Street or off of Waterman?
So for the contingency plan, for the contingency plan, it's primarily for the vehicles coming from South Waterman. But the goal of that plan is that if there's ever oversaturation or overconcentration of traffic coming in from East Mill Street, then the staff will be directing the vehicles where to go. And on the contingency plan, the traffic does start on South Waterman. So the on-site staff will be directing it through cones, and they'll be the one handling all the design. I don't. Can I share?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you guys want to see the contingency plan, it'll be right here. It's the contingency plan.
Do we have any other questions by the commission? No. At this time, I'd like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 24, sorry, is it 04, 24-04.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and second.
I'll second that. You second?
That's okay. That's okay. Call for the vote.
Chair Sherrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quill,
Yes.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead,
Yes.
Commissioner Carrascos, Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. Our next item is conditional use permit 24-06. We'll have a presentation by staff.
Okay, so for the final item for tonight's Planning Commission, it is conditional use permit 24-06. The proposed project is a new alcoholic beverage control type 21 off-sale general beer, wine, and distilled spirits license for a convenience store for Farmer Bros Market. This site is located at 3211 Kendall Drive at APN 0261-191-14 within the Commercial General 1 and University District specific plan. This is a zoning map. As you can see, it is well within the CG1 zone, Commercial General. And this zone is, again, is intended for development for retail use along the major transportation corridors and intersection and service the needs of the residents. This is the current aerial map. As you can see, it's surrounded by various commercial businesses, a public flood control up north, and the state highway, once again, down below, down south. This census tract where the ABC license will be going at is at 45.11, and the location of this is quite funny because where that is at, it's abutting two different census tracts. One of the census tract, which is 45.03, is right across of it on Palm, and south across down the freeway is census tract 27.06. This is the existing site. The building was previously approved as a service station in 1991, and it was changed in February 24, 2022, when the new owners removed the underground storage station, and they wanted to keep the convenience store aspect of it and not the gas station anymore. They're currently doing exterior and interior improvements in response to this project, since it's been vacant for quite some time. Here's the proposed floor plan of where they will be, selling alcohol, and to make it visualize how it would look inside. We also went ahead and did a 500 feet radius layer for map to kind of visualize for any sensitive use. Within the site itself, there's only one outlier of a residential suburban, which is right strictly up north of the property. It's mostly, again, commercial businesses, the San Bernardino County Fire, and the state highway within the 500 feet radius. According to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Licensing Report, there are currently, within the census tract of 45.11, there's currently 0 active existing off-site ABC license, and it allows for 2 off-sale, which means that this license will not adversely affect the census tract and will not exceed the maximum allowance for the licenses. As mentioned before, it's located within 2 abutting census tract, which is 4503 or 45.03 and 2706. Those 2 licenses are type 20. ARCO, which is located at 3225 Little League Drive, is roughly around 80 linear feet from the business, and Palm Shell, which is located at 5985 Palm Avenue. It's also at ABC type 20, census tract 27.06. Which is roughly around 750 linear feet, which is right below the freeway. I apologize for the error down below, but the police department did report just to analyze the crime rate, and the PD came back to us that throughout the whole city, there's a total of 70.78% for crime. This subject reporting district, which is S1820, saw 31 crimes during the review period of 12 months, and within that 12 months, none of those crimes were alcohol related. And with that, PD didn't say whether for approve for a denial or approval, but it gave us up to our determination. With that being said, staff recommend that Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2024.030, finding the project categorically exempt pursuant to section 15301, existing facilities in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and approving conditional use permit 24-06 based on findings of the fact of the subject as recommended conditions of approval. Thank you. And also I would like to note out that the applicant and their team are here to present, or are here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Christian. I'd like to open up the public hearing. I do have 2 speakers on this item. Our first speaker, forgive me of the pronunciation, Jagdip. Please come forward.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hope everybody's doing well. My name is Jack Dipson. I'm a currently franchisee for that 7-Eleven that was actually they're trying to get licensed for. It was burned down about 2.5, 3 years ago. So we moved our location across the street, which already has a beer and wine license. So I'm opposing it because it's going to affect my business. Because down the line, it's also going to affect my business because it's been 3 years to 4 years where we're still recovering from the COVID sales that we lost. And there's a lot of transient problem. I don't know how City of San Bernardino Police Department approved it, that, yeah, there's no crime or anything. There's a lot of transients everywhere. So I'm opposing it. That's it. Thank you.
Our second speaker is Melvin.
Good evening, sitting commissioners. My name is Melvin Evatt, also known as Dick Evatt. I've been working with the city for quite a number of years, and they've been very successful with the city. And I would like to compliment Christian because he has really helped me get all my ducks in a row, make sure everything was correct. Now, this store is, like I say, it was burned down, it had been vacant for a period of time. The applicant has a Glen Avon store in Hurupa Valley. He's been there for quite a number of years. He's never had a violation with the ABC, city, or anything. He knows how to run the business correct. This is going to be a convenience store, which is like a grocery store. It's going to have produce. It's going to have fresh meats. It's going to have household items. It's going to have everything that people need for everyday living. And it's a convenient item for the customers. In fact, he's going to have fresh coffee for people who have to go to work early in the morning. You can stop by and pick up coffee, donuts, whatever they like. And then when they get through work in the day, they can stop by the store and purchase items, take them home for the evening meals, or if they want to have a beer at home, they can do that, or a drink, whatever they have. The city has, the conditions are quite numerous, and he agrees to all conditions that's put on by the city and by the planning department. And so he's a very successful gentleman. Is there any questions you would like to have?
Thank you, Melvin. Do we have any questions by the commission? No? Thank you.
Thank
At this time, I'll go ahead and, we have no questions at all? No discussion? No discussion items?
Yeah.
Chair Armstead?
Okay, I do have a question. I did read it. It says this census tract has an allowance of 3 on-sale licenses.
3 on sale and 2 off sale.
Okay, but what's our limit in the census tract?
We have a limit of 2. So currently, according to ABC license, there's currently none. But we did a couple of research check just before the meeting. There's one type 20 license across the street, which is the 7-Eleven, but ABC had it on different census tract, which is 45.04, which is the reason why we didn't note it in the time of review. But even with this license that's within the census tract, it still will be a license of 2, which is they're still allowed that. So there's not going to be an over-concentrated with amount of type 20 licenses. So it's still going to be under the required minimum.
So this will be our 3rd, because I see there's a Rebel and there's an AM/PM.
So those might be different. When I checked again from the ABC license, there's actually none within the census tract. So this typo stated that it's within census tract 45.04. We're not identifying where the location of that, but again, that's within ABC's noting that there's no licenses as of current within the census tract, active ones.
And this is just a beer and wine? I thought it said distilled liquor too?
Yes, yeah, this will be a type 21.
That's type 21. That's just beer and wine?
Beer, wine, and distilled spirits.
And the others are type 20?
Yes, ma'am.
And we're allowed to have
2
type 21
yes.
in the census
We're
tract?
allowed to have 2 off-sale permit within the census tract.
Now, does it matter how close you are to the churches or the 2 child cares?
So once we did
whatever.
our radius map, as you can see the location of it, it's
Yeah.
it's right next to the state highway. Within the 500 feet radius, the only sensitive that we can think of will be the outlier 1 residential home up north. Aside from that, it's mostly commercial and the San Bernardino County Fire.
All right.
Are you good? Any further questions?
No, I thought we had to be a certain distance from churches and daycare and schools, but
So from basing on that, we didn't notify for anything sensitive uses within the radius. Again, it's mostly commercial businesses on site, which is primarily convenience stores across the street, which is at a different census tract, the state highway, the public levy, public flood control, and the San Bernardino County Fire that's within the proximity of that range.
Okay.
Any other questions by commission or discussion? Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
I think it was answered, just the clarity on the different type of ABC license, 20 versus 21. And just to note, I live in the neighborhood, so I frequent every business on that corner, 7-Eleven included. I think any development in that neighborhood. I think the crime is pretty accurate. It's a very nice neighborhood. Business is needed in that area, so I think I support this license for this facility.
I'd like to make a motion to
Oh,
approve this item.
Let me
There's no more
close
questions.
the public hearing first. Hearing no other comments by commission, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 24-06.
I'll second that.
Call for the vote.
Chair Sherrick?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quill?
Yes.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead?
No.
Commissioner Croscos?
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando Garcia?
Yes.
The vote is 6-1, it passes.
Thank you. That is our last public hearing for the evening. Thank you to staff for your presentations. Move to non-public hearings. I don't see any on the agenda. Do we have any planning commissioner reports or announcements? You have a question? Commissioner Armstead?
A question again. Are we starting the planning review anytime soon? Or are we?
Madam Commissioner, could you repeat that question, please?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, the planning, I'm sorry, the general plan review? Where are we with that?
Oh, yes. We have a community meeting. Travis, do you want to address our upcoming community meeting a little bit so that we're already beginning the process? Thank you.
Yes, so just to clarify, we are still moving forward on the general plan project right now. While the public meetings, have not occurred in quite some time, the project itself has been moving forward. But coming up, and to the point Gabriel was making, we are moving forward now on our environmental justice element. That is one of the new elements that we're now required to include into the general plan. It's not something that's in our current, because it only came on, I forget, it was a number of years ago, but well after our current general plan was adopted. That looks more at, social issues in the city, development, there's a number of things we look at, health-related, development-related items, services available to residents, things of that sort. We're starting some of the public outreach with that. Our first steps that we're doing, it's going to be a series of meetings we're having with a number of our stakeholder groups. We know a lot of the community organizations that we've worked with and that have also come out to our meetings here, to talk about certain projects in the city. We're working with them. We're going to have a series of 4 meetings that are coming up. Those are specifically with the stakeholder groups, just because they are, they're out there. They know the concerns already. They're, kind of the first pass, so to speak. Those are going to be commencing as of Monday. Through those meetings, the way we've designed it, we're looking at 4 kind of different topics. One is just environmental justice as a whole. One is more health-related concerns. That's a meeting where we'll also be rolling in some of the health providers in the city. We have one that focuses more on development, the types of development, where things are going, that sort of thing. And then one that talks more, or one that looks more at service-related concerns, things that are available to the residents in the city. After that, our intent, and I do want to stress this has not been set up yet, so unfortunately I don't have dates or locations, But after that, we will be looking to hold, at least a couple workshops in the community that we would then open up to the larger public once we've gotten through these initial kind of stakeholder meetings. We're still evaluating the exact locations where we would want those. Obviously, we want to try to hit, the different parts of the city. And those would be a little more of an open discussion, not specific to one of these certain topics. But certainly all of these topics will likely come up because they are kind of the core issues that you see. That's probably going to be sometime in September. What I can say is we can certainly send something out to let everyone know when those are scheduled. We'll do that as well with our general plan committee. We'll be posting that information as we've had to do before, posting it on the social media, posting it on the website, things like that. But we can certainly let everyone know because I understand there's a continued interest in that. And then anybody would be welcome. Moving forward on that, I won't get into too much detail, but we're still working through final revisions on our land use plan. And then that will kind of kick off everything else that we're wrapping up. Because at this point now, we're kind of at the point that everything ties back to the kind of the distribution of land uses in the city. So once we get that wrapped up, then we'll start getting real content coming out and start those meetings, kind of those general public meetings again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia.
I have comments or questions for, again, going back to the Tree City USA, is there anything in our economic development or building department that we have a checklist that these applicants are aware, or I know there's other cities out there that have specific landscape standards. Does our city have something like that or a checklist that is issued to designers, developers when they submit for plan review and approval?
Commissioner Garcia, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a landscape palette. And whether or not that, I'm going to assume that landscape palette was designed in coordination with the moniker of the city being Tree City USA. If that is something we have to go back and try to revise and try to bring both things together, because we became Tree City USA because of the things that we did with landscaping in public spaces. The landscape development standards we have are actually designed for private spaces. Maybe it's a time to kind of reconcile both so that we, being identified as Tree City USA for the landscaping in public spaces, we can translate some of that into landscaping in private spaces as well, such as parking lots for restaurants, shopping centers, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, if I may, I would like even, or if our landscape, did you say plan or plot?
Palette.
Palette.
Yeah,
palette.
which is a selection of tree sizes, species, and these are things that are actually put together for plants that dwell very well in our environment, so that, and it's kind of so it's a combination of tree sizes, types of trees, the ones that provide shade, with the ones that deciduous or evergreens and things of that nature, ground cover as well.
And then another question: does our city have a tree arborist?
Do we have an arborist, Travis?
Sorry.
Oh, do you know the answer to that?
I believe we do have one out in Public Works.
Public Works.
I
yes.
forget if it's their exact title, but
I believe it is their
we
title.
have some.
Right.
I can't remember the exact name on their cards, but
Right.
we have somebody that does that work and does look at that.
All right, thank you. And then just my other comment, I was looking at City of Ontario's website, and I would like to know if our city can use the same report that they generate within their building department. They have what's called a building permit reports.
Yes.
And they keep record every fiscal year, and every month it shows how many building permits were approved, just to tally the total count, and then just by department. So I'm not sure if that's something that our city can begin to produce.
Absolutely. In fact, we discussed that not too long ago, to not only provide that type of information, well, to also provide reports on decisions made by the Planning Commission or upcoming planning projects or anything that is an update to our development process should actually be identified on the website, because it does show transparencies. It does show that we're actually moving forward. It also shows that we recognize what is important to members of our community. So that type of information, we have them. We will be more than happy to post them on our website.
Okay, thank you, and that's all that I have, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Great to see all these projects being approved and come into our city.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Orlando Garcia.
I just have a comment. Thank you so much for keeping the promise and getting the handbook to us, as well as the slideshow on screen, Jennifer and team. It does help. We do see the screens here, but it does help to be able to scroll through the packet, go back and forth through the agenda, and be able to zoom in here and get a little bit more live view. So we appreciate you actually following through with that and making it happen. I like the change that we see here from staff. Welcome staff. We look forward to working with you guys, and it's a positive thing. I think a lot of good things are happening from what I see. It's a good feeling from this side to see this actually coming together. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yes, I was also going to think the PowerPoint presentation was helpful for me when reviewing the staff report and the attachments to be able to go back and forth. So I thank staff for that, for incorporating that.
I mean, I would really like to do something about these little screens you have, because I'm looking at that screen,
Yes.
and I think it would be best if you guys were actually looking at that screen rather than it be behind you. Then if we have to do something like that, it would go on that wall, and then we have the audience sitting there. So we're going to try to figure something out. If we can make a projection whereby we can actually have the screen project on this wall as well, so that when you're looking at the screen, you can actually see something in real size rather than looking down at the little tellies that we have here. So,
Thank you. It doesn't sound like we have any more. Vice Chair?
Yes, I have a question. Can you give us an update on the property of the Carousel Mall and also an update on the Harris Building?
I would like to. Now, most of the discussions on the Harris Building has gone under closed session with the City Council, and those are being handled by the Economic Development Division. Well, they're now a department now. So that discussion is actually ongoing. All I do know is that the city is in the process, or at least have been, we're in the process of considering the offer to actually accept the building. We know what all the improvements that are necessary to the interior of that building is, because I walked in it. So we know that. So the City Council is considering what the next steps are going to be. As far as the Carousel Mall is concerned, I was informed by the city manager today that there are 2 firms that are being considered for different types of proposals. I don't know the specifics of those proposals yet, but once it's become something that's made public, I will be able to share them with you. But there's activity on the Carousel Mall, and there's activity on the Harris Building as well.
Do you have anything else to add under a director's report?
No, I would just like to say welcome as the chair.
Thank you.
And commissioners, thank you very much for your service. We know sometimes it's challenging to make the meeting on time, but you make a good effort to be here. So going forward, one of the discussions we had earlier today is if you have questions, if you're able to review the materials, and you have any questions like we have this evening, if you can funnel those questions to the chair ahead of time, or to staff or somebody, so that if there are questions that we have to do a research on, then we would have ample time to do the research. But sometimes it's just kind of impromptu, so we welcome that as well. But if it's something you identified while you're looking at your package and you want to ask a question, please let us have an advance notice of that, so that we can be better prepared. Case in point this evening, the issue with the window. If we knew that question was coming, we would have a contingency plan which is not to say the outcome wouldn't be the same, but, you know, something like that. But besides that, I think it's been a good evening.
Along with that, maybe the department could email, put together a contact list and email all of the commissioners so we have each other's contact information.
I will have Jennifer provide you, each one of you, with each other's contact information, and you can decide whether you want to funnel your questions to the chair or send your questions directly to staff if you have questions ahead of time. And just bear in mind about our Jeopardy session we had not too long ago. When you have concerns or questions or contemplating a vote, you know, don't serial kind of, tell one commissioner this is what you're about to do, and et cetera, et cetera. So,
Understood.
yeah.
And I do appreciate Jennifer sending out the packet,
Yes.
a couple days before. It gives
Right.
us a little bit
It does
more
help
time
because sometimes
to
we have a
review.
lot of items. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7:39.